Here's a hard truth most men don't want to hear. Women want you more when you stop being available. And no, it's not some twisted game or manipulation tactic. It's biology, psychology, and plain human behavior, all wrapped into one. And understanding it can completely change how you approach dating and relationships. Think about it. When a man is constantly there, always responding immediately, always making himself accessible, it actually reduces his value in our eyes. We're wired to be drawn to men who have their own lives, their own priorities and boundaries. When you're too available, it sends the signal that your world revolves entirely around her. And honestly, that's not attractive. Now, I'm not saying you should ghost her or play games. That's different. This is about creating space, showing her that you have a life worth living, passions worth pursuing, and boundaries that you respect. That subtle shift in energy changes everything. Suddenly she starts noticing you differently. She's thinking about you when you're not there. She starts missing your presence, your humor, your attention. That's when desire grows, quietly, powerfully, and naturally. Here's the thing men rarely realize. Absence doesn't weaken attraction, it strengthens it. When you stop being constantly available, women start to evaluate their feelings more deeply. They notice the little things you do, the way you make them feel, and they begin to respect you on a different level. This isn't about manipulation. It's about giving her the chance to want you because she feels your presence, not because she's filling a void. In this video, I'm going to pull back the curtain and explain exactly why women respond to men this way. I'll break down the psychology behind desire, the subtle cues that make her miss you, and the mistakes most men make that kill attraction before it has a chance to grow. By the end, you'll understand why stepping back doesn't push her away. It actually draws her closer. 1. The moment she realizes you're not always there, and why it changes everything. There's a moment when a woman starts to feel a shift in her attraction, and it usually happens when she notices you're not constantly available. It's subtle, but it's powerful. And here's the truth. It's not because we like being ignored. It's because absence gives us the chance to see value in what's missing. I remember a time with a guy I was casually seeing. At first, he was always there. Texts, calls, plans, all the attention I could ever ask for. Honestly, it was nice at first, but after a while, I stopped noticing him the same way. He became predictable, and I realized I wasn't thinking about him when he wasn't around. Then, one week, he got busy with work and personal projects. He wasn't rude or distant. He just had a life of his own and didn't reply immediately. At first, I didn't even notice consciously, but after a couple of days, I realized I was thinking about him more than before. I missed our conversations, the way he made me laugh, and the subtle ways he made me feel seen. Suddenly, he felt more significant in my life because he wasn't just always there to fill a space. That's the magic moment, when she realizes she wants you, not because you chased her, but because she felt your presence and now notices the gap when you're not around. Women are wired to evaluate not just attention, but scarcity and value. When you're constantly available, it's easy for us to take that presence for granted. But when you step back naturally, living your life and maintaining your independence, our minds start to recognize that you're not just anyone. You're someone who matters, someone with priorities, confidence, and depth. That recognition sparks desire. Here's the key. It's not about playing games or intentionally ignoring her. It's about being fully engaged in your own life while letting her see glimpses of your presence. When she notices you're not always available, she starts to feel a pull, a curiosity, a longing, and eventually a deeper appreciation. That's how desire grows. It's subtle, emotional, and incredibly effective when done genuinely. 2. Why your life outside. her makes you irresistible. One of the biggest mistakes men make is thinking that being constantly available will make a woman like them more. The truth? It often does the opposite. Women are drawn to men who have a full, interesting life outside of the relationship, hobbies, goals, friendships, and responsibilities that matter. That independence signals value, confidence, and strength. And it makes her want you more. When you're busy and fulfilled in your own life, it creates a sense of intrigue. She starts to notice what she's missing when you're not around. She thinks about you, wonders what you're up to, and begins to associate your presence with positive energy and emotional depth. That emotional pull is stronger than constant attention because it's fueled by curiosity, respect, and the recognition that your world doesn't revolve solely around her. Women also notice how you handle your time and priorities. If you can balance work, friends, fitness, or personal goals while still showing genuine interest in her, it signals emotional intelligence. She sees that you can manage your life and still choose to invest in her. And that choice carries far more weight than simply being there all the time. Availability without boundaries can feel like dependency, which kills attraction. Autonomy, on the other hand, makes her feel safe and intrigued at the same time. Another reason this works is that women are naturally drawn to challenge. When you have a life she can't fully access or predict, it creates subtle tension. Not conflict, but a kind of pull. She wants to be part of your world, to share experiences, and to feel like she's contributing to your life rather than filling a void. That dynamic triggers desire and emotional investment over time. Finally, having a life outside her demonstrates self-respect. Women are more likely to value a man who values himself. If you are always available, it can appear that you prioritize her over yourself, which subconsciously lowers her perception of your value. But when you show that you respect your own time, energy, and boundaries, she can respect you in return. And that respect often grows into attraction and emotional connection. So, being fully present in your own life isn't selfish. It's magnetic. It creates space for desire, intrigue, and deeper emotional engagement. Women want men who live boldly, purposefully, and independently. That's what keeps her thinking about you, noticing you, and ultimately wanting you more. 3. How she reacts when you're not always there. When a man steps back naturally and isn't always immediately available, women notice. And our brains start working in ways men rarely see. First, there's curiosity. Suddenly, we start wondering what you're up to, who you're spending time with, and how your world operates outside of us. That curiosity is a subtle but powerful emotional pull. It makes us pay attention in ways we didn't before. Next, we start evaluating our own feelings. When you're constantly present, it's easy to take that attention for granted. But when there's a pause or distance, we reflect on what we feel for you. Is he someone we genuinely miss, or is he just convenient? That reflection deepens emotional investment. Women feel a stronger connection to men who aren't instantly accessible because it triggers a subconscious recognition of value. We also start noticing the little things about you that we might have overlooked when you were always around. Your humor, your perspective, your support, the way you make us feel understood. When you're consistently available, these qualities blend into the background. Space allows us to appreciate them again, often more deeply than before. Another common reaction is subtle longing. We might reach out less ourselves or feel an urge to connect, but it's different from panic or desperation. It's a natural desire to reconnect with someone whose presence matters to us. That longing creates anticipation, which fuels attraction in a way constant contact never could. Women also pay attention to how you handle your absence. If you step back without drama, without guilt-tripping, and maintain your own life confidently, It signals strength and independence. That behavior triggers respect and admiration, which are both powerful components of desire. Conversely, if you disappear erratically, ignore communication inconsistently, or seem unreliable, it creates anxiety, not attraction. The key is intentionality and balance, being unavailable in a way that is controlled and confident, not careless or manipulative. Finally, we begin to test the emotional depth of our feelings. Space forces us to confront whether we miss you, care for you, or are ready to invest emotionally. It's a natural process. And one of the reasons women often fall harder when men maintain boundaries and independence. We respond to presence, absence, and quality in ways men often underestimate. 4. Why mystery and independence make you irresistible. Let's be honest, women are drawn to men who aren't completely transparent all the time. That doesn't mean being secretive or dishonest. It means having a life, boundaries, and experiences that she can't fully control or predict. That sense of mystery triggers intrigue and desire. When everything about a man is available on demand, the attraction plateaus quickly. But when he has his own rhythm, interests, and priorities, it sparks curiosity. And women are naturally wired to chase what isn't handed to them easily. Independence is another key factor. A man who is fully engaged in his own life sends a message that he values himself. That self-respect is magnetic because women subconsciously seek partners who are stable, capable, and self-assured. If your world revolves solely around her attention, she senses a lack of structure and confidence, which decreases attraction. Conversely, maintaining autonomy shows her that you're grounded, capable of making decisions, and intentional about your time. The combination of mystery and independence also creates emotional tension, in the healthiest sense. We're drawn to what we can't fully predict. That doesn't mean you play games. It means your presence isn't guaranteed, and your energy is valuable. Women notice the subtle signals of a man who has boundaries and who isn't instantly available. We start anticipating interactions, thinking about moments we shared, and wondering when we'll connect again. That anticipation builds desire faster than constant access ever could. Confidence plays a huge role here as well. Being unavailable naturally communicates that you are secure and self-contained. Women are drawn to men who don't need validation to feel worthy. When you maintain your life, goals, and priorities while showing consistent care and attention on your terms, it demonstrates balance. And balance is one of the most attractive qualities a man can have. Finally, there's respect. Being selectively available signals that you respect both your own time and hers. Women appreciate men who don't bend over backward to prove themselves, but instead engage meaningfully when they choose to. That respect, combined with mystery, independence, and confidence, builds attraction organically. 5. The subtle signs. She's thinking about you when you're gone. One of the most fascinating things about women is how much we notice, even when you think we're not paying attention. When a man steps back and isn't always available, we start picking up on subtle details that we might have ignored before. And these small signals often reveal that she's thinking about you more than you realize. I remember a situation with a guy I liked. He started getting busy with his own life, work projects, personal goals, and social commitments, and he didn't respond to texts immediately. At first, I didn't overthink it. But over a few days, I found myself checking my phone, wondering what he was up to, and remembering little moments we'd shared. The way he made me laugh during one of our earlier conversations. The way he noticed things about me that no one else did. All of that started to stand out in my mind. I realized I missed his presence, and suddenly, he felt more significant to me than before he became less available. Women notice these things because absence creates mental space for reflection. When you're always there, your presence blends into our daily rhythm. But when you step back, we start replaying moments, thinking about how you made us feel, and assessing our own attraction. Those thoughts aren't forced. They happen naturally because distance highlights value. Another subtle sign is that she starts engaging more selectively. She might initiate conversations less often, but when she does, her messages feel more thoughtful. She remembers details, asks questions, or references things you've shared in the past. That's her mind making space for you, noticing patterns and qualities she might have overlooked when you were constantly around. We also start imagining what it would be like to be around you again. It's not just about missing your company. It's about missing the energy, the connection, and the unique presence you bring. That anticipation builds desire in a way constant access never could. 6. How to create distance without losing her interest. Here's the truth. Creating distance isn't about being cold, playing games, or punishing her. It's about balance, maintaining your independence, showing self-respect, and letting her feel your value naturally. Women notice everything: how you manage your time, how you communicate, and whether you prioritize your life alongside your interest in her. Done correctly, distance actually increases desire instead of pushing her away. First, understand the difference between absence and neglect. Absence is intentional and healthy. It's living your life fully, focusing on work, hobbies, friendships, and personal growth, while maintaining meaningful, consistent contact when it matters. Neglect, on the other hand, is inconsistent, unpredictable, or careless. That creates anxiety, doubt, and insecurity, which kills attraction. Women are drawn to men who can step back without drama, not men who disappear and make us chase them. Second, be consistent in quality over quantity. You don't have to be available all the time, but when you are, make it count. Meaningful conversations, attention to detail, and genuine presence leave a bigger impression than endless casual contact. Women respond to quality interactions, and when you combine that with selective availability, it amplifies desire. Next, protect your boundaries. Decide what you will and won't compromise on, whether it's time, energy, or emotional labor. Maintaining boundaries shows strength, self-respect, and confidence, all traits that naturally attract women. When you respect yourself, she respects you. Boundaries also create a subtle sense of scarcity that triggers curiosity and intrigue, making her want to engage more intentionally. It's also crucial to maintain your social life and personal goals. Women notice when a man has direction and purpose. A busy, fulfilled life communicates value, independence, and confidence. That doesn't mean she's competing with your priorities. It means she sees that you're a man who is intentional about your time. And that intentionality makes your attention feel earned, meaningful, and desirable. Finally, don't overthink or overcomplicate your absence. The goal isn't to manipulate emotions, but to allow them space to grow naturally. Women need room to reflect, notice your value, and miss your presence. Step back in a way that's confident, balanced, and intentional. When done right, distance doesn't weaken attraction. It strengthens it, creating emotional depth and connection that constant availability could never achieve.
7. Stop chasing, start being wanted. Let me be blunt. If you've been chasing her, over-texting, or making yourself constantly available, you've been doing it all wrong. Women don't fall in love with men who are always at their beck and call. We notice when a man lacks boundaries, and it diminishes attraction. Neediness doesn't create desire. It creates frustration and indifference. Here's what most men miss. Attraction is not earned through attention or effort alone. It's earned through presence, confidence, and scarcity balanced with quality. When you're constantly available, You send a signal that your world revolves around her. That might feel romantic to you, but from a woman's perspective, it's predictable, unbalanced, and frankly, a little boring. Desire needs tension, respect, and a man who has his own life. Women notice consistency, but the right kind of consistency. It's not about being at her disposal. It's about showing up when it matters, being reliable, and demonstrating that your life is rich and full outside of her. When she sees that you have passions, priorities, and boundaries, she starts to respect you more, value your time, and yes, want you more. Another common mistake is emotional overexposure. Sharing everything, every insecurity, every thought, and every feeling too quickly can overwhelm her and reduce attraction. Women respond to a man who is emotionally available but not emotionally dependent. There's a fine line between intimacy and neediness, and understanding that line is crucial if you want her desire to grow rather than fade. The wake-up call is this: stop chasing, step back, focus on yourself, and let her notice what she's missing. Confidence, independence, and selective availability are far more powerful than endless pursuit. When you respect yourself, maintain your boundaries, and live a life worth engaging with, she will naturally gravitate toward you. Finally, reflect on your patterns honestly. Are you overextending to gain attention? Are you compromising too much of yourself just to stay present in her life? Attraction isn't built on sacrifice alone, it's built on value, presence, and emotional pull. Shift your perspective, respect your own life, and you'll notice a dramatic difference in how women respond to you. Here's the truth most men don't want to hear. Women don't fall in love with men who are always available. We notice attention, yes, but desire grows in response to presence, independence, and the way you make us feel, not how easily you can be reached. If you've been chasing, over-texting, or bending over backward to be available, you've been missing the bigger picture. Attraction isn't about convenience, it's about value, boundaries, and emotional pull. When you step back intentionally, live fully, and show that you have your own priorities, women start noticing you in ways they didn't before. They reflect on your impact, appreciate your presence, and even miss you in a way that constant attention could never inspire. That's the power of being selectively available. It's magnetic, subtle, and deeply effective. So here's my challenge. Reflect on your habits. Are you overextending to get her attention? Are you too available, too predictable, or too easily swayed by her moods? Step up, set boundaries, and live a life that's worth engaging with. The men who get this right aren't just noticed. They're wanted, remembered, and valued. I want to hear your experiences. Share in the comments the moments when stepping back changed how she treated you, or when you realized she was thinking about you more because you weren't always there. I'll be reading and responding, because this isn't just theory. It's real, practical insight that works when applied. Remember, desire grows in absence, respect grows in boundaries, and love grows when you show up as the man she truly wants.